Welcome back to English Classes Online, where English learning is made easy. On this channel, our goal is to equip you with the linguistic tools required for effective communication and for success in your English exams. We teach everything English, and your proficiency is our business. If you are intending to take any of the English language proficiency tests, such as IELTS and Duolingo English Test, DET, you'll find links to our training courses in the description section below. Moreover, we teach you how to use the English language as an effective tool for creating content, monetizing content, and creating for yourself multiple streams of income on various online platforms. If you are interested in such lessons, kindly subscribe to this channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Make sure you click on the bell icon as well, so that whenever a new video is uploaded on the channel you will be notified instantly. This will ensure that you don't miss any of our new videos. We appreciate all of you out there who keep supporting us by liking and sharing our videos with your friends and relations. Do not forget to browse through our playlists for other video lessons. In the description section below you'll also find links to different resources such as ebooks, online courses, and training courses that you might find useful for your English learning or for your content creation skill development. Let's get started with today's lesson right away.
Hello friends, this is Benjamin from English Classes Online. In today's lesson, our focus is on the key steps in writing a good letter. Letter writing and the Waec marking scheme is exactly what we are going to examine. How can you write a letter that will score high in the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, in the National Examinations Council Senior School Certificate Examination, or any other school certificate examination? This is exactly what we want to look at. And without much ado, let's dive into the lesson. We want to begin by looking at COEMA. COEMA is an acronym for Content, Organization, Expression, and Mechanical Accuracy. These are 4 criteria for Waec essay marking. And so understanding the Waec marking scheme is what we want to first look at. Now, content carries 10 marks, organization carries 10 marks, expression carries 20 marks, and mechanical accuracy carries 10 marks. Altogether, you have 15 marks, awarded for an essay. So if you're able to write a good letter, then you can actually score some very high marks here, because you have 50 marks. In fact, in all the sections of the exam, essay writing carries the largest chunk of the marks. So we are going to examine content, organization, expression, and mechanical accuracy, and use these parameters as a roadmap so that we take the right steps in writing a letter that will score high in this exam. We want to illustrate with the West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2017. From the theory questions section A, which is essay, we want to look at question 1. Your father has just built a new house for the family. Write a letter to your elder brother who lives abroad, describing the new house and the prestige it has accorded to your family. We want to take a look at the steps that ought to be taken in order to write a good letter in response to this question. Okay? Let's first look at features of an informal letter. Of course, the question we saw, which requires you to write a letter to your brother, is an informal letter because an informal letter is a letter you write to someone with whom you share a personal relationship. And that person could be a friend or a relative. All right. So now the features are as follows. 1, writer's address and date. 2, salutation, which could be dear father, dear mother, dear John, dear sister, etc. And then 3, we have content of the letter, which is subdivided into 3, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Number 4, we have the subscription or closing greeting, for example, yours sincerely. Number 5, we have the writer's first name only, followed by a full stop, and that brings your letter to an end. So we are going to look at this simple process, okay? Now, let's look at the steps in planning the letter using the Waec marking scheme, COEMA, as I earlier explained to you. COEMA stands for Content, Organization, Expression, and Mechanical Accuracy. These are the qualities that your letter should have in order to score a high mark in the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Let's take another look at the question. Your father has just built a new house for the family. Write a letter to your elder brother who lives abroad, describing the new house and the prestige it has accorded your family. So let's now take the right steps. Step 1, content. These are things you should consider as you plan to write the letter. Now, in content, you should know what you are required to write, because if you know what you are required to write and you write what you are required to write, then you will score maximum marks on that content. Okay? If you write something outside the content, of course, you will lose marks. So first of all, understand that the word here is a letter. What are you required to write? You are required to write a letter, not a story, not an article, not a speech, or any other form of writing. That is very important, because every form of writing has its format. And so if you use the format of a story in writing a letter, then you lose marks. The next thing is for you to take note of what you are asked to write. You are asked to describe the new house that your father has just built and the prestige it has accorded your family. Now, these are the specific points to be discussed in your letter. So you take note of this, and then having noted what you are to write, then you give it a thought, just think about it, and you draw an outline to be sure of the key points you are going to discuss. Now, an outline is simply a list of the main points you are going to discuss in a piece of writing. So when you are to describe the new house and the main things you are going to write in that letter, you can simply jot them down so that you will have them in mind and take them sequentially as you begin to write. Step number 2, you consider organization. Organization has to do with knowing the structure of what you are to write. A letter to your brother who lives abroad. This is an informal letter, and therefore the writer's address must include country name, and then this will be followed by dates. Because it's an informal letter, it doesn't need any title or topic. You just write your address followed by a date, and then you move on to salutation. Dear sir, dear brother, or dear John, as the case may be. Step number 3, expression. Now, in expression, you need to know the purpose of the letter, and then that will also determine the kind of language Okay. Now, the purpose of the letter is to discuss a piece of family news with your brother who is living abroad. So, because you are writing to someone who is familiar to you, you don't need any official or formal language. You need to use what we can call conversational language, because when you write to someone, you need to write to him or her exactly or similarly to the way you discuss with the person in real life. If you are writing to your brother, if you call him brother in real life conversations, you also address him as brother. If you call him by his name, you can also address him by his name. And if you feel relaxed talking to him in real life, then you should also feel relaxed writing a letter to him. So a letter is only important because you are separated from the person in space and time. And so your letter then conveys your message. But it has to be the same tone. And so it should be a letter that uses conversational language. And in an informal letter, you are allowed to use contractions or short forms such as can't, I'll instead of I will, don't instead of do not, shan't instead of shall not, wouldn't or instead of would not, and won't instead of will not. So all these contractions or short forms are acceptable. And then you can also inject some humor if you like. If you always feel relaxed discussing with your elder brother to the extent that sometimes both of you could share jokes, then why not? You could share such humor also in your writing. So that is exactly what is to be done, but this should be done only where it is necessary. If you are sharing a joke, the joke you are sharing has to be relevant to the topic you are discussing. Okay? But in all this, you have to remember that you are writing this letter in an exam, and because you are submitting this letter to an exam official who is going to mark, and of course they will check for correct expressions, so you make sure you use correct English expressions. Okay. Informality does not necessarily mean incorrectness, and it does not at all mean incorrectness. You can use informal language and yet use correct English expressions. Okay. Step number 4, you consider mechanical accuracy, which is the fourth parameter, that is used in judging your essay in the Waec exam. Now, this has to do with your accurate use of mechanics or rules of written language. So you need to plan this aspect. And how do you plan? Plan how you use your time. Plan your use of time by ensuring that you leave between 5 to 10 minutes for cross-checking your work and correcting any errors in spelling, punctuation, capitalization, use of tenses, concord, and so on and so forth. So you need to plan how to manage your time wisely and leave some time for editing or cross-checking your work. This is how you get the mechanical accuracy right, so that you'll be able to avoid spelling errors, punctuation errors, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the planning aspect of your letter. Of course, every piece of writing requires adequate preparation. just like someone intending to build a house. You have to first draw a building plan. And if you start building a house without a building plan, then chances are that you might uh, situate the kitchen in the sitting room, and the sitting room probably where the toilet should be located. And so when you plan, then you mark the locations of the various parts of your house. And this is what you do as well. When you write, you plan your writing in advance so that you know exactly where to write what. Now, having said this, let's now go into the writing, steps in writing the letter. We have looked at steps in planning the letter. You first plan the letter, very, very critical step in writing. The mistake most students make is that they jump into writing a letter, an article, a story, a report, or whatever they are asked to write without planning it. And as the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we have looked at the steps in planning. Now let's look at the steps in writing the letter. Now, assuming you have already, created an outline in which you have jotted down the points you are going to discuss, then you begin to write. And writing is like, putting the various parts of the structure in their proper places, okay? If you are building a house, having drawn the building plan and having gathered the building materials, the builders have, very clear steps they need to take, and that is just to mark the building site, and then they know exactly where to put which pillar and all that. And then the various materials they have already gathered will then be used in building the house. And then you put one block on top of another. Okay, so let's now look at how we write this letter. The first step is to write the address and date. And the address ought to be in the right hand, the top right hand side of your answer sheet. That, of course, is where you ought to have your address. And so I'm going to show you this in the sample because I'm going to show you the sample, but let's just go through the steps theoretically. Then I will show you the sample and show you how these steps are taken. So the first step is to write the address and date. The second step is to write the salutation. Dear brother or dear John. Now, step number 3 is to begin to write the content of the letter, which should start with paragraph 1. In paragraph 1, you come up with your introduction. You may decide to start with pleasantries. That means, inquiring or asking your brother how he's doing, and also letting him know how you are doing and all that. Now, plus background information. Of course, before you start discussing the topic, you need to introduce it. You need to, include some information to prepare the reader, towards what you are going to write. It's just like if you want to describe someone, you need to first mention the person's name. That's what an introduction looks like. Then paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 will form body of the letter as the case may be. And in these paragraphs that form the body of the letter, we are going to discuss the subject matter in details. Okay? And then in paragraph 5, which is step number 4, which is the conclusion, of course. Okay, this is where you have the conclusion. Then you bring the letter to an end. You bring the letter to an end. Okay. Then step number 5, you write the subscription or closing greetings, which is commonly yours sincerely. It could be any of the other subscriptions like yours ever or ever yours, or yours affectionately, or yours truly, as you like. Then having done that, the last step is to write your first name only and then put a full stop. So these are the steps that you ought to take in writing the letter. So let's now look at the sample. Okay. Now let's assume that this is your writing sheet. It's blank, as we can see it. And so you begin with your address. Here you may choose to write your school address or your house address. Let's assume you choose your school address, for example, Sabo Community School. Now take note that each location is followed by a comma, or comma, PO Box 520. This comma here is supposed to be at the end of 520, okay? Please take note of that. Then first tag, okay? Lagos, Nigeria, full stop. Now, we have included the country name here because the letter is going to be, sent to someone who is living abroad. If you are writing a letter to someone abroad, you need to include your country name. But if you are writing a letter to someone in another part of your country, then it's enough for you to stop at your state and put a full stop. But here we are including our country name because the letter is to an elder brother who is living abroad. Then what follows is the date, October 5, 2022, full stop. Now observe the correct way to present your address. And then here is the salutation, dear brother. Of course, since you are writing to your elder brother, it may sound more respectful to address him as dear brother. In real life, it's possible that you could be addressing him as brother. Or if you are addressing him by his name, why not? You can write dear John if you like, or dear James, or Mark, whichever name you choose. But here we are settling for dear brother. After that, what follows is the first paragraph. This is where we introduce the subject for discussion, the purpose of our letter. Your first paragraph in every piece of writing does an important job, and that is to present the subject matter, to let the reader or the addressee or the receiver know exactly what this piece of writing is all about. Now let's look at what we have put down in our introductory paragraph. As I said, you can write to your brother in a way that is similar to how you talk to him in real life, okay? Using what I call a conversational tone, okay? Now, this is an example. Dear brother, you can't imagine the excitement I have as I write to you this time. I hope you are doing well in your studies. Here at home, we are all healthy and happy. In my last letter, I can remember I informed you about a building project that our father had just commenced. I am happy to inform you that the project has been completed and we've just moved into the new house. I know you would like to know what the house looks like, and the prestige it has accorded our family. Now you see, this is where you are now inching closer to your thesis. You are specifying exactly what you want, what you intend to do in this letter. Now you begin here by saying, I know you would like to know what the house looks like and the prestige it has accorded your family. This is what you have been asked to do in the question. And then you conclude this paragraph by saying, that's exactly what I'm going to furnish you with in the following paragraphs. Okay? So you have written your first paragraph. This is the first paragraph, and it contains your introduction. So let's move on. In paragraph 2, this is where the description of the house begins. And you can, start the paragraph with what we call a connective, okay? To start with, the house is located in Alaba on the popular Ojo-Igbede Road. It's a fully detached 6-bedroom duplex with BQ. You see, BQ here is an abbreviation for boys' quarters. And you could use this because you are discussing informally, and in real time when you are discussing with your brother or friend, then you could easily use the term BQ. It features in informal discussion, so you can use it also in your letter. All the rooms are spacious and each of them has a toilet. The building is sited on a full plot and it looks structurally strong and magnificent. Okay. In the next paragraph, you begin the paragraph again with a connective. Okay. What a connective does is that it links the previous idea. It connects, just as the name implies, connective. It connects the idea you expressed in the previous paragraph with the idea you are going to discuss in the new paragraph, and that will make your writing coherent, interconnected. Okay. All right, so now in this next paragraph we write, moreover, it has a private fenced compound where we have the freedom to park up to 8 cars. It has enough space where the children can play and where the family can host social events. The green areas and the beautiful flowers within the fenced compound have given us a natural environment that I can call a villa. See, you are discussing and showing aspects of features of the building that your brother is going to be interested in. Now, in the next paragraph, which is where you actually bring your description to an end, you can say finally, or you can use the phrase above all. We choose to say above all. We now live in a very secure neighborhood where the people are friendly and cooperative. On the day we moved into the new house, most of the neighbors came in and gave us what looked like a hero's welcome. In fact, the new house has changed the way we are perceived by neighbors. It has accorded the family so much prestige that we all keep thanking God for daddy's foresight and hard work. So the question has required you to also describe to your brother the kind of prestige the new house has given the family. So this is how to ensure that you you deal with the content of your writing. This is exactly important. And while dealing with the content of your writing, you're also dealing with the organization, because here you discover that all the paragraphs are well organized. when you begin a new paragraph, you leave a space which we call indentation, a space, and the space you leave for the first paragraph should be equal with the space you leave for the second paragraph, the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph, and so on and so forth. Okay? And this makes your work look organized. So you are dealing with the content, you are dealing with the organization, and of course, if you go through this paragraph, you see that we have used correct English to express the ideas. You know, most students actually have the ideas they want to present, but they lack the grammatical competence to express these ideas in correct English. And that is why expression carries 20 marks. Now, you have actually given a clear description of the new house. And then what remains is for you to bring the letter to a close. And you can do this by saying, or by writing rather, give my warm regards to your friends and associates over there. Take care. Okay. Now comes the subscription, yours sincerely, Jane. Okay, so this is exactly the way to write a letter and make sure it is in line with the Waec marking scheme. This is a very good example of how to use the Waec marking scheme as, the roadmap, something that will guide you in writing a good letter. And of course, this type of letter, it will enable you to score high in the essay writing section. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you like the video and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, kindly leave them in the comments section below. Go through the description section and you will find a lot of resources, some ebooks, some online courses, some training programs. For example, if you are going to sit for the IELTS, that is IELTS test, or the Duolingo English test, DET, we have complete training programs that will help you to prepare adequately for any of these tests in order to achieve your dream score, either in IELTS or in DET. Then we have some content creation skills and some video courses, some ebooks that will help you to learn some content creation skills. And all of them are right there on the description section. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video. Thank you.